Mm, 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 mm. Oh, we're live. All right, people, let's do this. So, today's date, November 14th, 2018, and this is how the Frack We Got Here. I don't mean to sound like I'm a video game show host, but this is all we got today because I'm still running off post-workout. Anyway, host with the most, Will Buchanan here, and here on How the Frack We Got Here, we always try to take what we have learned from this week and last week and just try to make sense of it all. So, before we get started with this shindig, I do have to sit there and say that this is an adult podcast, which means adult conversations, adult conversations. If you don't know what adult means, it means you're still a kid. So language will be used, and of course, always viewer discretion advised. So please, oh please, take the necessary time as of right now to make the appropriate 5-second adjustment. Five. Okay, so it's been 5 seconds. So guys, like I said, as we're on the eve of Thanksgiving, for those that celebrate it, for a lot of us, it's just really just getting free food. Hopefully you guys are all going to have a good Thanksgiving. I would like to recommend that. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, well, go find somebody and get a plate because you never know. I'm just saying it's a good time for everybody to come together, have fun, and do whatnot. But above all else, just a reason to get food. So how do we explain the week before right now all turkeys are nervous? How do we explain that? So the best way I can actually do that, because I know every week, I'm going to be honest with you, every week I do try to find something different. I do try to find something different as far as a different story, not always going with what you see in the mainstream media, not always what you see as far as what certain news stations try to push forward, things of that nature. I always do try to find something different, but I always feel compelled at the end of it all that when I come back to it, what I find different is unfortunately what's out there, which is basically Agent Orange, Baby Huey, overburnt Cheeto Puff. No matter what burnt Cheeto Puff, spray tans, this is what happens when Botox finally catches up with you kind of thing. That guy, the guy I'm talking about. But it seems this week Trump has honestly, I keep on saying every week, it's like Trump takes the challenge to basically outdo himself. So the next couple of stories we're going to go after, and I promise I'll try to be brief about this as much as I can. It's the only way I can describe it. Well, for all y'all was wondering, let's start with the midterms. Of course, the midterms still going on now. Of course, it's an interesting time in the midterms, just because when they're saying every vote counts, votes are still being counted. And as a matter of fact, there's actually a runoff that's actually happening, or actually should have concurred. Just yesterday, I believe in the state of Georgia, for the representative race. The governor's race is still up for grabs because it's all tied in lawsuits. Same way in Florida, it's still tied in lawsuits. You literally have people that are suing not to get votes counted, and you're pretty much having other people countersue to have votes counted. Think about that for a second. The person who won, as in Rick Scott, is suing to make sure votes don't get counted. His incumbent is suing to make sure the votes get counted. Stacey Abrams in Georgia is doing the exact same thing. Brian Kemp, who election night was declared, she condescended to, she conceded to him, was declared the winner. But conceding doesn't actually mean it's legally binding, so it could always be undone. The same thing in Florida right now with Andrew Gillum and Ron DeSantis. It is an interesting time in our election world to where it gets to the point to where nowadays things can get pulled back, simply put, because that's how much voting matters. I can go on a tangent for the next 3 hours explaining why voting matters and why you should vote and why you should be active and why voting shouldn't be the only thing that you should be doing. I could go on the next 3 hours about that, but that's not what this show's about. So of course, for all you guys that, if you follow me, and I'm thankful for that, and also follow the news, you understand that Agent Orange talked about the migrant caravan. He talked about the migrant caravan like it was an invading country. And he kept on harping about it, saying if we don't get this wall built, if we don't get these troops down there, if we don't stop this invasion, it is going to fuck up your world somehow. I'm like, it's amazing to me because I'm like, okay, so a whole bunch of people basically escaping dangerous situations to come and live a better life in a country where there's plenty of opportunity. Why am I mad at them? I mean, that's just me. Why am I mad at them? But another thing about that is, though, he mentions the migrant caravan, and I mention that properly because the first thing we're going to talk about is now that the majority of the midterm elections have passed. So you ever wondered that ever since then Trump has never said anything about the migrant caravan since then? Well, there's a reason for that.
Don't be a sucker. That propaganda film to warn Americans off commie conspiracy theories in the 40s, that phrase needs to be revived. And here's why. Before the midterms, the president couldn't lie to you enough about the urgency and the complexity of the caravan, an invasion that had women clutching their petticoats out of fear. No wonder he got clobbered by women voters playing him that way. And it was the same with the mothership, Fox. But now, crickets. Nothing but a passing mention about the caravan from the Trump trio last night. The caravan has vanished. Credit Susan Wertheim, writer on Cuomo Primetime. Great line, not mine, but I take it. It's my show.
I see what you did.
It wasn't me, it was Susan. Great line. So,
D. Lemon's here. Go on.
D. Lemon, I'm glad you're not hiding. I know you were afraid about the caravan. I told you it was going to be okay. And just like that with the election, poof.
Listen, I don't watch enough to know how much they're covering it, but I do have have all the networks on in my office. And I just remember when I would look up every single night, every single show, the caravan is coming and these people are coming and they're going to take your jobs and they're going to be doing all this. And it's like, and now you don't hear anything. And then they've gone back to their old thing of sort of demonizing us, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's about the CNN is doing this, and MSNBC is doing that. It's like they have to have a foil. But to be quite honest, we told you, the people they call fake news told you that you were being played, that these people pose no immediate threat, being thousands of miles away or hundreds of miles away. There was no immediate threat. And you know what gets me yesterday? When the president said, we don't want those people coming in illegally, we don't want them breaking the law. Right away, stop them and say they're not breaking the law. What they're doing is they're doing it right. They're coming here, they're claiming political asylum. We get to decide if they want to come in or not.
Right.
Now, some of them may, try to come over illegally. Who knows? They might. But for the most part, if they're telling you we're on the way, we're going to come in, we're going to claim political asylum, that is actually the process. So those people, they bought it hook, line, and sinker. People bought it, oh my gosh, we should be putting out barbed wire. Don't you want to be
Some people did.
Oh,
some people took it as fuel for their own fire of righteous indignation against the Trump administration. He got shellacked in the vote across the country. He lost this popular vote by more votes than he did in 2016. The real problem is, caravan is coming.
Yeah.
You are going to have a big population of migrants coming here. Are you ready to handle it? The president's not talking about that. He's not talking about his plan, and I'll tell you why. One reason, other than him dipping in and out of things out of convenience, you need Mexico to deal with this effectively.
Right.
Because really, ideally, you do want to deal with this before they enter the United States. Why? A lot of the claims may not be sufficient. The volume is a lot. You are going to have problems with tracking. There's no question about that. But you don't have the relationship with them right now to have them be accommodative of this because of the way the president has treated them. Yeah. So his talk is a problem two different ways.
Well, that is a problem when you don't really have a conviction, right? When you go back between being a Democrat or a Republican, or when you're saying you're going to do one thing one day and then do another thing the other day. And it's also, let's be honest here, I mean, he needs a foil, right? So whatever is politically convenient or expedient for him, that's where he goes. It worked to stir up his base that, oh my gosh, this scary people are coming. And so now that whatever happened during the midterms, he doesn't really have to discuss it now. But I tell you what, this is role reversal, because I'm going to say to you something that you would say, since you're always looking at the positive side more than I am. We are the United States of America. I think that we can handle people coming over in any way that they come over if we really put our attention and our efforts into it.
If Congress looked at it.
Yeah.
Because there are...
So pretty much is where I wanted to stop it there, because pretty much exactly what that was. I mean, it was along the lines of just saying he talked about it, he harped about it, and like I said, if you follow Twitter, because that's the only way the president likes to talk, because well, let's just be honest, he doesn't have really the social skills. But when it all was said and done, it disappeared. It vanished. It was as if the migrant caravan was suddenly stopped by Rick Grimes, and all is well. When really it's not. And just like they talked about, it amazes me so that these people are coming over. Number one, it's not like we actually ran out of room in the United States. Number two, the influx of people means that is great for the job market, because let's be honest, those folks will find jobs because they will be actually needing to support themselves. There are a lot of good things that can happen just because more people are coming into the States. At the same time, they're requesting political asylum, which means that they have to go through the process. So maybe instead of sending 5,000 troops to the U.S. border to basically vacation and not get paid, which, by the way, is another thing is the most annoying part about all this, is that not only these soldiers who are ordered there are going to miss Thanksgiving, when they could be with their folks. They've already missed Veterans Day. Now they're going to miss Thanksgiving with their folks. They're not getting paid any extra for this overblown exercise. And on top of that, they're out there. I mean, literally, you would think in civilization, as they're in Texas, Mexico, and California, you would think they're among civilization to where they should be able to eat properly and not eat off MREs as if they're in Afghanistan or Iraq. Nope, doing the same thing. So again, all of this was for show. The use of force with the military was a force of show. And now, as the midterms, at least the majority of the midterms are over, it's almost like you basically use the military the same way a king would use a piece in chess. You use it to do a show of force, but not really to use it to prove a point. But then again, what do we expect from Trump? BJ, what's up? Can we build the wall and push his orange ass off of it? Nah, I'd rather put him in Russia with his boyfriend, but that's just me. But he's only as useful as to Putin as he is as far as he can get shit out of him, because compromise. What up? Thanks, Derek and BJ and Thomas. Yeah, it is truly beyond disgusting. It is truly beyond disgusting that he would take human life and treat it as such. But then again, it's Trump. But the one thing I will take from this, though, is just that single story has actually created another story with Trump. And unfortunately, it did cost a CNN... well, it's better to show you exactly what happened, because what's interesting about this, as the story of the migrant caravan... or lack thereof of fear, was actually pushed to another story that basically involved Trump and the free press. Let me show you.
Challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the terms that
here we go.
That if you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President, caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for that.
And why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
Do you think that you demonized immigrants in
No,
this election to try to keep them?
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. They have to come and get through a process. I want it to be a process. And I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
Your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and
Well,
so on.
that's
They
weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing
They
that.
weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. These were people. This was an actual. It happened a few days ago, and
They're hundreds of miles away. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles
what?
away. That's
I
not
think
an
you should-
invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN,
All right.
and if you did it well, your ratings.
Let me ask you, if I may ask another question, Mr. President, if I may ask another question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's
Mr.
enough.
President,
That's
I'm going to
enough.
ask one of the other folks.
That's
that-
enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me. That's enough.
Mr. President, one of the questions that I may ask on the Russia investigation, are you concerned that you may have...
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming
investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation? Mr. President,
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
I think that's
You're a
unfair.
very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the way you treat other people are horrible. You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead. Go ahead, Peter, go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts
Well, I'm
his
not a
butt
big
like
fan
that.
of yours either, so
I understand.
to be honest.
So let me ask you a question if I can. You repeatedly said,
You are the best.
Mr. President, you repeatedly, over the course of
Okay,
the...
just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, over the course of the last several days of the campaign, sir, at the end of the campaign, you repeatedly said that Americans need to fear Democrats. You said Democrats would unleash a wave of violent crime and dangerous families everywhere. Why are you
Because
pitting
they're very
Americans?
good crime.
Why are you pitting Americans against one another, sir?
Peter, what are you trying to be him?
No,
Peter,
it's not.
Wow. So yeah. So what's interesting about that? So, and I know it amazes me so. Like I said, Trump seems to always outdo himself. Now, the story now, of course, I'm sorry, guys. I know if the volume may have been just a little bit too low, but I'm pretty sure you guys can pretty much take and pick that Trump was basically accusing White House CNN correspondent Jim Acosta, basically for doing his job. He sat there and said, well, the migrant caravan that you keep calling a caravan, that you keep calling an invasion, isn't an invasion. These aren't terrorists. These are frightened individuals who literally are just seeking asylum, but you don't want to say it. So he's like, well, of course, in Trump's mind, well, no, fake news. And then he goes extra with the whole, you're a terrible person, CNN should never hired you, it's terrible what you say about Sarah Huckabee, it is terrible. Where the fuck did Sarah Huckabee come out of all this? I mean, forget the fact that she has to bend over backward like a contortionist to defend you, but she'll also take shots from her podium. She's not innocent. She lies right along with you and lies along with it and does not give a fuck. She does not give a fuck. So why in the world? And quite honestly, the only way CNN has insulted Sarah Huckabee is when they point out all the time she was full of shit, which any diligent reporter should be able to do. So what's interesting about that is we went from migrant caravan to now Trump fighting the press, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. It's the next part about it is just that which I want to show is where basically Trump has decided that he can decide who he wants in and who he wants out.
Responding in court to CNN's lawsuit. CNN, as you remember, sued the Trump administration yesterday over its pulling the press credentials of chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta. And now the president is responding. CNN's Brian Stelter is here at the very latest. So what is the administration saying?
The administration's filed a response in court ahead of this 3:30 p.m. hearing. CNN's asking, of course, for a temporary restraining order to get Acosta's press pass back right away. But the White House is saying that President Trump has, quote, broad discretion to decide who gets in and who gets out of the White House. In other words, the president's saying he gets to choose. He gets to limit who's at the White House, which reporters are able to attend presidential events. Here's a part of the statement, part of the response that we can share on screen to quote from this response. It's a lengthy brief that's been filed with the court. But it says, and we can pull up the quote, I think, that the broad discretion is the key point. That the president has broad discretion here. That flies in the face, and by the way, it says the White House as well, have the same broad discretion to regulate access to the White House for journalists and other members of the public that other past administrations have. So that is the claim here from the president's lawyers defending the move to revoke Acosta's press credentials. The reason why this is going to be interesting this afternoon, Kate, is because Secret Service regulations, the Code of Federal Regulations, says something different. The regulations are pretty clear that unless you're a threat to the president's life, press passes are not going to be revoked. So this is going to be the legal battle that unfolds later today.
And the evolving reason why his credential was pulled, as we're talking to attorneys, that's a big question of kind of what that means in the grand scheme of things.
Right, and in this new brief, there's no mention of that claim from last week that he had placed his hands on a White House intern. The White House is not making that claim anymore in the legal filings. It's only saying that Acosta wouldn't give up the microphone. Well, as you know, Kate, lots of reporters try to ask follow-up questions. It's pretty common at the White House.
And also happening today, a bunch of media organizations are coming to CNN's defense.
Yes, in the past few minutes, 13 different news outlets have issued a joint statement saying they are all going to be filing and joining friend of the court briefs. You can see here this statement. Our news organizations support the fundamental constitutional right to question the president or any president. Thus, we will be filing friend of the court briefs to support CNN and Jim Acosta's lawsuit based on these principles. Kate, this is the Associated Press, Fox News, Bloomberg. This is NBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post. These are not outlets that usually agree on anything, but they are all agreeing on these basic First Amendment values. And I think it is noteworthy that Fox News is represented in this group. After all, a lot of commentators on Fox News, like Sean Hannity, have been criticizing Jim Acosta. Some of them have even said his credentials should have been revoked. And yet the news side of Fox News is saying that they stand for a First Amendment right.
And it speaks to this is bigger than Jim Acosta.
Absolutely.
That's what this speaks to.
Absolutely, because today it's Acosta, but it might be a reporter at the New York Times or Fox News next week.
And the weird part about that is he's got a point. So pretty much for all those that may or may not know, after that happened on the previous video of Jim Acosta basically calling Trump out, Trump and Sarah Sanders just decided to pull Jim Acosta's press credentials, which without those, of course, you can't be in the White House briefing room as they're talking. The problem is just that you have to have probable cause. The probable cause being that the president's life has to be in danger. Aside from that, freedom of the press allows them to actually be in the press room, so therefore Jim Acosta can still be in there because he's done nothing wrong except do his job. So, for all those that when I was talking about when Sarah Huckabee Sanders said that he had sexually harassed the woman that was reaching for the mic, the one that kind of did they try to say that this, when she reached forward and he's like this, and he's, mic is here, hand is here, this, as she's trying to get it away from him, they try to say, well, that's harassment. She walked over. His hand was here with the mic. Mr. President, I just have one more question, Mr. President. I really need you to answer my question. You just see her hand come in, and he goes, pardon me. He kind of almost does like the Jamie Foxx hand to the face, when he has little Jamie Foxx over there, that kind of thing. It was kind of like I respect him because he literally just went, no, ma'am, pardon me. He was so gentleman. I mean, I have to give it to the guy. He was professional to a point. The White House aide was trying to get the microwave from him, and he goes, excuse me, I'm not done. I mean, I have to give it to him on that. Because anybody in that situation, bitch, if you take this mic from me, you can, fill in the blank of how you want to feel about that. But the thing about it is, though, is just that he remained professional while Trump, the only time he's ever met a professional is when he met Melania Trump. So, anyway, it is amazing to me that now CNN has to bring the White House to court over the simple fact of the matter is that the freedom of the press is being violated. That is an actual law, that the press has the right to interview the president. That's part of the Constitution. That's what's supposed to happen. So now Trump is trying to pick and choose who he wants. If that was the case, then only Fox News would be allowed in there, and maybe Saudi Arabia and Russia. Just because the husband always wants to see the wife at work. Putin always loves seeing Putin always loves seeing his boyfriend online. But that's neither here nor there. But the thing that annoys me most I'm not going to say annoy me because we're not surprised about Trump's behavior. Trump's behavior does he tries to do whatever he wants to do and then just goes from there. So it's not surprising that he's now trying to control the press. And then he's trying to sit there and say that, oh, well, it's because this, that, no ever. And it amazes me. And the thing that amazes me, though, because as you saw on the last slide, it literally shows the list of other news outlets that are supporting CNN's lawsuit, which to me is honestly the one line I never thought I would see down there. I saw Fox News. Think about that for a second. Fox News. I literally dubbed them state news because they're the only ones Trump will feel safe enough to talk to. Fox News, as a news station, supports CNN in a lawsuit against the White House and Trump. In the words of Don King, only in America. But it's amazing to me that now where we look at all this and you again, we now see the cracks forming. Of course, with the Mueller investigation winding down, other indictments coming out, Trump starting to freak out a little bit. To me, it's always fun to watch because eventually the hammer is going to fall. But again, there's a lot of other things out there that I call the Trump effect that are still happening. So the best way I can explain it is the most recent one because, like I said, a lot of people are kind of getting brave about the shit that they say. And Republicans seem to be on that bout. Now before you Trump supporters get your panties in a bunch, I tried. Because I've had, and I know guys, I talk about these Trump supporters, trust me. These guys watch the podcast just like you're watching now. So all you guys are watching, Vaughn, BJ, Angela, thank you guys, and everybody who's watching. But let me tell you this so far. I think there's a special bunch of people. And apparently they like me. Me enough to talk to me in way late hours. I mean, I always sit there and say you can respond to me as far as this podcast and everything else. It's still cool and whatnot. But they always love to respond to me after the broadcast is over and it's posted. And they keep on saying Democrats do the same thing that Republicans do. No, Ron DeSantis said that we shouldn't monkey up the election. Brian Kemp said that black people are incumbent to vote. Michael Cohen, Trump's former attorney, if you can believe him, says that blacks are too stupid and will vote for Trump. All this coming from a right side and not from a left. And again, I wish I could make this up, but here's another wonderful gem.
Current appointed Mississippi Senator and candidate for re-election, Cindy Highsmith, is defending those comments Sunday night. Mississippi had the highest recorded number of lynchings of African Americans between 1877 and 1950, according to the Equal Justice Initiative.
The state that really had the most lynching in that era was Mississippi. To act like there is no history to this, that there is no context to this, and then to not even have the courage to answer direct questions about what you said, as well as sit here and make the claim that someone is somehow misinterpreting what you say, and in the process refuse to even apologize, shows me that she is not worthy of the office which she holds.
Are you familiar with Mississippi's history of lynchings? I put out a statement yesterday, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
You mentioned that it shouldn't be viewed with a negative connotation. Could you at least explain how it could be positive?
Yesterday, and we stand by the statement, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
This is 2018. We're going here in Mississippi into the third decade of the 21st century, and we just should not have this. We need leaders that would try to unite us and not divide us.
So, okay, I'm not trying to laugh. Okay, let me put it this way. I'm not trying to laugh. I really am not. But when she sits there and says, if there was a public hanging, I would be on the front row. In Missouri, one of the most historically race-hated histories, this side of the Confederacy. I'm not saying it was the birthplace of the KKK, but it definitely was it was like the Four Seasons state where racism was hated. So it is amazing to me where I've sat there and I'm like, it's amazing to me when you sit there and go, how in the blue hell do you say that as a term of endearment? That's my thing that kills me. How do you say that that's a term of endearment? Oh, hang on, I'm sorry, guys. It speaks volumes about what she said. John, Steph said, "What's he doing live?" Well, John, tell Steph that she can watch. I mean, I think she'll probably get a kick out of this show just as you will. So please encourage Steph to watch as well. And you're right, BJ. She did just say that. And I'm sorry, it's Mississippi is the word I was looking for. I was thinking Missouri. My bad. So it's Mississippi was the state. Thank you for that clarification. But still, it is amazing to me where she literally has no qualms about it. Like, she just came out and said, for lack of better words, you can take it as you will. Really? You would take it as you will. Public lynching, where it has a history of lynching, mostly black people. And by mostly, I mean all. I mean, I've yet to see I'm not going to say a Caucasian hanging, but I mean, if I go down the historical context of Mississippi, let's just be honest. There's only one certain of color hanging from a rope, and it definitely ain't white. So it amazes me where when she called out and said it will not be taken in a negative context. It shouldn't be taken in a negative context. How the fuck can lynching be positive? It can't be. It's not. It is literally watching racist, bigoted tendencies be passed off as normal sayings now. But this is Trump. I mean, I've been saying this. I have been saying this since Trump shocked everybody by doing something stupid. What he says and what he gets away with will eventually flow from others, because this isn't hidden. I mean, this wasn't yesterday. This was them now coming forward and saying, oh, well, if he can say it and nothing happens, so can I. And this is not, and just like that, when I was talking about one of the runoff states, that's a runoff state, to where you would think if you're a voter and the person that sat there and says something like to you of that craziness gets away with it, then I have some serious concerns about who the fuck I let in the state. And you're right, Thomas. When she goes, I said what I said, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. Yeah, it's almost like no, don't back down from your words now. Go ahead and say what you want to say, because you had no problem saying it in public. You have no problem saying it from the press, which brings us right back to the whole thing. It's just like it's kind of like a cockroach. Once you shine a light on it, then all of a sudden you have their unmitigated attention, and I just find that interesting. Especially in that case, like I said, if you're in Mississippi and you're voting, I hope to God you don't vote for her. I'm sorry. I know I usually shouldn't say I said when I first said about voting that, do your research and then make the best possible decision for yourself. I know I did say that. I think there's an exception that can be made on this. I'm sorry. Anybody who sits there and has KKK tendencies should not be voted on. I'm sorry. You can just pass that on by, in my opinion. But, like I said, it's the Trump effect. And so much so for the Trump effect is just that you see how it shapes our society now. Like, for example, and I want to bring this up. I don't really have a video on it, but I just want to show it anyway, where the state of Ohio is set to approve the Stand Your Ground bill. Now, for all those who are unfamiliar with Stand Your Ground, pretty much it is a bill that even in Florida is still being enforced, to where if you feel that your life is in immediate danger, that you can exercise lethal force. So right now, the Ohio House, which is basically the Ohio House of Representatives, is set to approve this bill. And I saw this bill on a friend's page, and my friend isn't here. I was hoping to God he'd be online, because I know me and him were having a very interesting debate about this, where I had sat there and said, with Stand Your Ground, Stand Your Ground doesn't work. It doesn't. Stand Your Ground itself really does not work. It is by far, to me, the most dangerous. It is by far the most dangerous law that you could have, because it legalizes murder. I mean, there is no there's no way around that. I mean, I've heard people sit there and go, well, this is great because I always worry about if I use lethal force, will it come back to haunt me? Will it be this, that, or the other? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you're thinking about defense, and it doesn't work. Look at the statistics in Florida. The stand your ground law in Florida actually led to an increase of violence and gun deaths. It didn't lead to a decrease and an increase in safety measures, because not saying that a lot of people will feel inclined to go looking to enforce that law, but again, it's like allowing guns in. It's like allowing people to conceal carry in stores. Yes, if it is allowed, I can understand for people's safety. But in my mind, and from what I've been learned and what I've been taught, the more guns you introduce into a situation, the more volatile it becomes. And I know for a lot of people, just like my friend, who, like I said, I wish he was online so he can discuss his side, because he's for it, I'm against it. Because I sat there and said it doesn't help in the law. I mean, you already have laws in place to defend homeowners. Somebody breaks into your house, you don't want them there, you have no choice but to put them down. There's laws for you in that. Stand your ground can only be made for people who conceal carry. And if you conceal carry, that means that now the burden of proof goes from the accused to the prosecutor to prove that, okay, it was stand your ground, he was justified in the shooting. And 9 times out of 10, you saw it. You saw the guy, what's it been, 4 months ago now, about the guy who shot the other guy in the parking lot over a parking space? Think about that. He was in a parking space, the guy wouldn't move, he decided to push forward, and the guy falls on the ground, he pulls out his gun and shoots the guy. And then he cites stand your ground. Or better yet, and that's why I'm saying it's just like, that situation right there only proves the fact that law is as dangerous as a gun. Because the simple fact of the matter is, if you have that in place, it doesn't mitigate violence. It basically gives it a warm welcome and a handshake, is what it does. And what do you say, BJ? Can we give the gift of these hands? I wish. Thomas, stand your ground doesn't work if you have melanin. Well, I'll give you that point too. BJ, stand your ground works for anybody not black. Can't argue that as well, because aside from that one woman who was defending herself against her husband and her kids and fired 3 rounds in the air. Keep in mind, 3 rounds in the air, gun wasn't pointed at her husband, and only using to defend herself and cited stand your ground, and they almost gave her 20 years for it. I mean, granted, she's out now, with her family and whatnot, but she almost got 20 years for citing the very same law that a white man used to shoot a man in a parking lot over a parking space. That's why the law is bullshit. But that's like I said, that's one of the many other things out there that just, like I said, this all comes, and I've said this before, in this society that we have right now, these are laws that are getting pushed forward that honestly under more cooler heads would never make the light of day, but because we have a president who's an idiot, this is all bound to come back to us. Now, another story I want to talk about was the shooting story, and it hurts my heart to always talk about these stories because another black man dies. This one, I feel bad for the family of Jamel Robinson. Now, if you don't know who Jamel Robinson is, he's basically a security guard who was basically doing his job and was shot. What happened? Well, short story. Basically, he was security detail at a bar. Some patrons got unruly, had guns. He subdued one while they called police. Police arrived on the scene, and as they arrived, they shot and killed Mr. Robertson. So it comes down to now, it's just like he identified himself as a security guard. He was armed with concealed carry, and he did have one of the pursuers down. Knee the back style if you ever been taken down by security. But the question becomes, why did the police decide to go ahead and shoot a security guard if he was already restraining the individual? Which is what the next story is about, which I'll go ahead and play.
Congo security guard killed by police as he tried to detain a gunman
has filed a civil rights lawsuit against the officer who shot him and his department. Court documents say 26-year-old Jamel Roberson was working security at a bar and had detained a shooting suspect. Roberson, who is black, was wearing a security vest, and witnesses say people in the crowd yelled to arriving police that Roberson was a guard. Still, one responding officer shot him, who later died at the hospital. Friends and family say Roberson was studying to become a police officer himself.
He got his life took by people who he looked up to, who he wanted to become.
The Midlothian Police Department says the unnamed officer who shot Roberson has been placed on administrative leave.
What a tragedy.
Now, what's interesting about that is just that a lot of people are going to go, well, this story sounds real familiar. Yeah, I mean, just change the situation. Man sitting in his own home, female officer breaks in, swears up and down she yelled verbal commands, kills him. The one thing about it is, the interesting about these stories is that it amazes me how the police officers always say they try to get the assailant's attention, but they didn't listen to verbal commands, and then they decided to use lethal force. And yeah, Thomas, I give you that racial war has started. I will put it to you this way: it is. And I'm just gonna be real. Let me just go ahead and be real from the jump street about this. These days, I mean, I used to always go with DL. He used to say he's black men can't be endangered species because an endangered species is protected by the federal government. And it's almost getting to the point these days where you remember the talk where your parents gave, when encountering police, do this, yes sir. No sudden movements. Hands always available where they can see them. And at a time, I mean, we are the only group we are the only men out there, the only group of people out there that have to give that talk to our children. And at the same time, no one is sitting there telling the police going, okay, when you encounter a black man, pretty much treat him like a human being. I don't see that talk being given to officers. Now again, I'm pretty sure I'm not saying all officers, but I can go back to that whole discussion of pretty much saying where it's that thing of where it is honestly that thing of where I've always told people, yeah, there may be good cops and bad cops, but when good cops start pointing out the bad cops and actually joining us in the same line, that's when I'll believe all cops are good, and that's when I'll start believing that maybe there are good cops out there. And I'm pretty sure there are. But the only ones I know that are actually calling out the bullshit are those very same NYPD cops who are now pariahs. Because they can't go back to the force. You think they're going to get protection? Do you think they're going to get the same level of care that officer that shot that young man is getting? Hell no. I mean, like I said, in most cases, like we've only seen one case. Well, I'm sorry, not one. I take that back. Not one. 2 cases where 2 officers have finally seen jail time. One for saying they lied about a black person shooting them and the reason why they use lethal force. The other one was actually convicted, given 15 years. I still say that was too short. But again, the most recent cases in our time, 2 officers actually saw jail time for unjustified shootings. And I've always said this before. You realize that you can be a police officer in half a year. And here's the thing that always amazes me. So for all those that want to know comparisons, okay, for an associate's degree, it takes you what, 2 years? Bachelor's 4 years, master's 5 or 6, doctorate. I mean, you can keep going up. But for if you want to be a beautician, that's 2 years of beauty school. If you want to be an electrician, that's 3 years of school. If you wanted to go into management, that's about 4 years of business school. If you want to be a CPA, again, 6 years. If you want to be a police officer, 6 months. And again, until someone can sit there and point that out to me, how does that make sense? You're going to sit there and tell me that a beautician needs more time to learn their craft than a person wanting to be a law enforcement officer who can learn it in 6 months and be duty ready? I mean, that alone says a lot. And what you say? Oh, hey, why would you say too afraid of the blue line? Oh yeah, they're right. You're exactly right, Vaughn. Of course, too afraid of the blue line. And we said, BJ, there's a better chance of me contracting up syndrome than a cop being held. And you're right. A cop being held for shooting a black person. That's why I cited only 2 cases in the last decade that a cop has went to jail for an unjustified shooting of a black person. There's only been 2 cases of it that have actually went our way. Every other case, the jury either decided not to prosecute, dropped charges, and my personal favorite, they actually went and got jobs as law enforcement in other cities. Other cities. Oh no, when you're at the police, you're with the police for life. When they turn, you don't work out in this city, we're going to put you in this no-name city that no one knows you, no one's seeing your face, and you're going to be a cop there. Because why waste all that good training, over a life? But really, Vaughn, hell, it takes 4 years for MTSU for MASCOM. Yeah, you're right. The MTSU is exactly right on that. But it amazes me so, and I feel so bad for that family because, again, it's another family that has to go through that. Another black man has to die. And yeah, I'm on my black man trip right now. I'm on my black man soapbox right now because, like I said, if we're not being denied, equal opportunity, except for in sports, if we're not being allowed the same opportunities as other ethnic groups, but you're using us for target practice, hell yeah, I'm still going to stick with that. And I'm still going to kneel just like Kaepernick does. And I'm still going to sit there and say fuck the police, because I will still say fuck the police because I still think we're not getting any justice from the police. That's just me. I'm pretty sure there's a lot about that people feel differently, but for me it's always fuck the police. And like I said, until black man then pow. Yeah, you're right, until black man then pow. But to me, that's why I say it doesn't. The only way it improves is that when they're finally held to account. That's what I love about the fact of the Amendment 1 of Nashville passing. Amendment 1, just to give a short synopsis on this, Amendment 1 means that there's going to be a civilian oversight group that monitors and the police have to answer to. And let me tell you, the police fucking hate that. And to me, I wonder why. I wonder why the police hate it. Why do the police hate that they're going to have to answer to somebody? Oh, right, because that means they have to do their job and they have to be on their P's and Q's. And if something goes wrong, then they have to answer for it. So what you're telling me is that a cop who defends all laws of accountability hates to be accountable for his ability. Yeah, pretty much. But to move on from that, I'm sorry, before I go on that, they're just now calling for a warrant. Yeah, but the woman they're just now calling for the murder charge of the woman in Dallas. Yeah, the same woman, not the woman who killed, I can't think of his name to save my life. Andre last name. I cannot remember his last name to save my life. Not the woman who killed the black man in the apartment. I think it's another case you're talking about, Vaughn, but I need to follow up on that one too. But for not to get too far deep into this, because there's also one story I wanted to get to tonight that I find amazing. And it actually brought something to my attention that I never really did realize. Is just that, well, let me go ahead and show you this first. So that way you'll probably see why I'm in shock.
Trump. She's now stepping in, using her voice to call for the dismissal of one specific staffer, the Deputy National Security Advisor, Mira Ricardel. More on that in a second. But first, officials say President Trump designed potential replacements for several other key senior positions, including his chief of staff, John Kelly. With me now, CNN chief political correspondent Dana Bash, and CNN White House reporter Kate Bennett. Kate, let me begin with you. Why does Melania Trump care clearly so deeply to have this Deputy National Security Advisor fired? Right. So, Greg, I just want to make sure that the statement from Mrs. Trump's office said that the position of the office of the First Lady, that she, Ricardel, no longer deserves the honor of serving in this White House. So a very specific statement. A White House official does tell me on background that during the trip to Africa earlier this month, the First Lady's office, some staff members, and Ricardel sort of butted heads. They found that Ricardel was being a bit obstinate in some of her behavior, to some of the requests the First Lady's office was making. The source also says that there was perhaps some retaliation or attempt to retaliate on Ricardel's part by leaking certain things or attempts to do so. Again, this is from a source inside the White House, and it's an unfolding story, but certainly a very unusual, very strong statement from the First Lady and her office actually saying this person doesn't deserve to be on staff at the White House. You know, Melania Trump, as we both know, is not someone who's effusive in her statements. She's typically stayed out of staffing decisions. The East Wing operates very independently from the West Wing. This being someone, that doesn't necessarily operate quite a bit within Mrs. Trump's circles. So this is a very unusual move, certainly. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, Ricardel, we just saw her with the president in the same room at the Diwali ceremony, so she's clearly still at the White House today.
Now, that alone should say a lot. I mean, okay, how could I, okay, so, I never thought I'd say this, but the first hostage apparently has become the Baroness, because apparently she wants to let people know that if you apparently get on her bad side, you can be fired for no reason, and other than that, she wants to be treated like the queen. You know, every dictator has a queen, and apparently she wants to be the Cersei of the bunch, which amazes me so. Where I just want to sit there and I just want to go, how? Okay, and before a lot of millennium people who also watch this get all their get their feathers ruffled, understand one thing. It is amazing to me that Melania Trump has been quiet for the duration of this term. Already 2 years in, and her Be Best campaign is shit. Her Be Best campaign is talking about online bullying, which I find very hypocritical because you are married to the biggest bully of this country. And you're not checking him, but you'll check him about getting a woman fired because she argued with you? Yeah, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot to where this is, I mean, I call it a dictatorship. I used to call it a single dictatorship. But now Melania Trump has decided that I'm not going to be quiet. I'm just going to go around and see who disagrees with me, and then I just go from there. So at this point, the White House is more along the lines of Game of Thrones more than the Celebrity Apprentice. You're just waiting for Cersei to come through with green fire at the next victim, which could be almost anybody. So that's why it's just amazing to me now. It's just like, and this is the thing that really stood up to me. Trump has never really fired anybody. I mean, he's requested people to resign, but if you really think about it, he hasn't fired anybody. Whoever has fired someone has either been his aide, his chief of staff, John Kelly, or it's been somebody else. But it has never been Trump himself. And I just find that interesting. For a guy who always comes off as a CEO of just like, well, you're fired. You know, he just walks up to a guy and it's like, I just want to sit there and just like, when he was on Celebrity Apprentice, I'm sorry, Snoop Dogg, but you're fired. I just don't. It amazes me, like, okay, you did on reality television. You are unfortunately the leader of the free world, and you have yet to fire anybody yourself. I will tell you why. That I think nobody goes up to Trump. I don't think why Trump fires nobody, because I don't think Trump's ready for that backlash. Because like I said, everybody kissed the ring to get to where they're at. So you really shouldn't be surprised about and you really should be surprised about the way he would act. Because you're right, BJ. It's like the White House is a big deal. The White House at this point is just a big-ass daycare center. You're exactly right. And right now, the daycare workers are being fired because the baby is crying. And mostly his wife, or I should say the so-called illegal immigrant who somehow became legal through legal matters that they will not discuss, is now trying to wave her righteous power around and saying, this person argued with me, get rid of them. You know, she wants to be queen. It's like, it's amazing. You have baby Huey who wants to be a dictator. Melania Trump wants to look intelligent. I feel sorry for the kid. Pretty much, I feel sorry for that kid. He's gonna have a harder time than Kanye West's children. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know who I feel more sorry for. Trump's kid Kanye's kids. I don't know. It's like both of them are gonna have. I hope. This is just me. I hope Kanye West's children become geniuses and change the world through medicine or music or technology. I hope they do something so great because they're going to have to get out from under that fucking shadow their dad put them under. And Barron Trump, dude, I hope you find a way to I hope you find a way to either come up with an alternative form of energy or just nuke cancer with a pill. I hope you do because I hope you don't wind up anything like your dad because, again, big ass shadow to get out from under. But, let's see. The Wade say BJ, Kanye gave his kids some dumbass names. Oh, I hope they change that. I really hope they do for their sake. But the last story that I'm going to talk about is basically, like I said, going back to deployment. Like I said, to stop the migrant caravan. Here's the reason why I'm like, part of the reason why when it comes to, being in the armed forces, that's why I say I would probably be under dereliction of duty right now for explaining what these soldiers have to go through. So let me go ahead and let you guys see what I'm talking about.
And President Trump has tweeted once, one single time, about the migrant caravan that he called a national emergency. But for the 5,900 soldiers already there, the deployment now seemingly on the White House back burner is their everyday life. These people are stretched out from California to Texas, with camps set up inside of fast food joints like Whataburger, but for the troops, their diet consists of meals ready to eat, known as MREs. The meals come in pouches, and they're typically used when dining facilities are not available. They're used in emergency situations, like forward operating sites in Iraq or Afghanistan, or now the U.S.-Mexico border. It makes absolutely no sense. They have been spending time organizing the equipment hauled from bases across the country and stretching out barbed wire and organizing medical supplies, setting up for what the president called an invasion of tired, hungry migrants seeking asylum. Meanwhile, the New York Times reports groups of 20 soldiers are living in one tent. They are allotted 7 minutes to shower in another small tent and have little time to even charge their cell phones with the spare generators. Their lifelines to their family, their friends, and the outside world limited for what? The deployment could end up costing taxpayers, please listen to this number, $220 million. Defense officials tell CNBC. But the Times reports that the Pentagon has no money set aside for the operation, meaning funds will cost other vital military activities to do essentially the same job as National Guard troops. I don't even understand why we're doing this. And unless the president issues a stand-down order, U.S. service members will be there through December 15th. You got that right. That's Thanksgiving. Service members who miss Veterans Day with their communities, they're also going to miss Thanksgiving with their families. And they might meet, I can't even get the words out. I think it's so ridiculous. They might miss Christmas, according to Secretary Mattis. I need someone to explain this to me. I find it so baffling.
Well, I think a lot of us find that baffling, really. For the simple fact of the matter is just that, like she said, you basically have almost 6,000 troops sitting on borders between Texas, New Mexico, and California, and they're pretty much treating this thing like they're overseas. I'm like, you would think, like, dang, can we at least hit a Wendy's? I'm like, Wendy's, Whataburger, In-N-Out, Taco Bell at least? Can we at least get something? Why do we have to treat it like we're literally over in Afghanistan again? And she brings up a wonderful point. The simple fact of the matter is just that this unnecessary deployment not only cost us money, fiscal Republicans, not only do they cost us money, it's the simple fact of the matter is just that this is a useless military exercise. Like I said, I give it to the armed forces. I give it to the guys that go in and just, serve no matter what. No matter the president, you go and serve. You know what? If it was me, I'm almost certain I'd be in the military court somewhere. But like, I gotta go where? Fuck that and fuck him. I probably would be in a JAG court somewhere, knowing my ass, because I question everything. So, I give it respect to those soldiers that have to go out there and do that. And, you know, and to be away from their families, to not even enjoy fucking Veterans Day, a day that's all about the troops, which I find funny because I can go into a whole other rant about how Republicans don't give a shit about the troops, just like they don't give a shit about pro-life people. I can turn around and I could go into that whole rant of why that makes no fucking sense. I'm really not going to do that tonight, but I'm just saying, you can't even get, you barely won't even get Thanksgiving. You may not even get Christmas, all because Baby Huey decided that the migrant caravan that he is so afraid of is going to invade us. And you know the sad part is his ability to con people never ceases to amaze me, and his ability to make other people believe that these immigrants coming over here are going to do more harm than the white men who are radicalized and have militias and have Hitler tendencies are not as dangerous as individuals who are unarmed, hungry, starving, tired, and still making their way here for terms of a better life. That alone will never make any sense to me, but apparently makes all the sense to a Trump supporter. And like she said, somebody fucking explain it, because I surely cannot. But and you're right, BJ. The migrant caravan is as real as Debras. You are not bullshitting there. Thomas, I know you probably be in Jag Court with me. And you're right, BJ. Don't give about it. The thing about it is, and George Carlin said it best about Republicans. They don't give a fuck about the troops until it benefits their narrative. That's why Republicans can sit there and say they're pro-life until you're born, and then when you're born, fuck off until you're 18. And when you're 18, come join the troops. Come be all you can be. And when you get hurt, or when your tour is over, and when you're truly fucked up, good luck. Go to the VA. That's what it's there for. They use and abuse and throw away toys. And by toys, I mean they're taking soldiers, actual people, and they're turning around and doing this to them. And that to me screams why this person should not be in charge. Why, I'm not saying, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, you shouldn't question everything, but I think sometimes that's what's missing in the armed forces, that someone's not going to sit there, listen to this order and go, no, the fuck, I'm not going to follow this. I'm not going to order those men. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my black ass. I wish there was a joint army chief that would sit there and be like, fuck that. He wants to go defend the border, go tell him to do his damn self. Take him and his fucking family. You would think that would happen, but like I said, I understand the law, I understand the rule of orders, and that sometimes you are made to question, but that's why I stood there and said, had it been me, my ass would not be in there, my ass would be in JAG. But when you say they will walk like troops, they ain't shit. But they will throw out some weekend leave service. You're right, BJ. But the last thing I'm going to talk about is just that I know Christmas season's around the corner. I know we ain't had our turkey yet. Turkey's still a week off. But like every other retail season, they say fuck the turkey right to Christmas. Why? Because we want you to rack up money. We want you to buy presents. We want you to max out your credit cards, take personal loans, just so you can give little Timmy that shiny new fidget spinner with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi access. Why? Because if you don't, you really can't show him the love that you should have for a parent, but you threw it through presents, and that's how you wind up with an entitled brat. But anyway, did you ever want to give your child Lego building blocks? Well, I got the building block, B-L-O-K. I didn't really get Legos until I could actually earn my own money, be struggle. But you know what? It is amazing to me, and I cannot make this up, because there's probably going to be a bigoted parent that's going to buy this. Encourage your child to build the wall with new MAGA building blocks. And just like the thing says, now the kids can be just as bigoted as their ignorant parents. And I wish I could make this up. I wish this was satire. I wish that, honestly, that it was fake. Oh no, it is real. And I wish I could make this up, and I'm going to do it right here for the world to see. I shit you not. This is an actual website. This is a website to where parents, and I'm thinking to myself the entire goddamn whole time, please, oh please, tell me there is not a parent out here who's going to look at this and say, you know what, I want my child to make America great again and build the wall. I wish. I'm thinking to myself, how? And it's always funny because it's done by Keep and Bear. Keep and Bear is a conservative site. And the reason why they're a conservative site because they actually have different toys, art print, stickers. But this most recent thing that has just came out is just that, yes, they are actually getting to the point to where the Lego wall, to literally build the wall, and of course, with Trump, yeah, as you can tell by the, they're trying to compensate by giving him bigger hands on Lego pieces than he does in real life. But they literally are advertising as far as building the wall. And you would think that somewhere in their right mind, somebody would be like, who the fuck is going to pay $30 for this? But then I remember there are a lot of people who believe in Trump. And just like all sorts of ignorance is not hereditary. It is passed. It is hammered into. It is designed to basically be passed on to the next generation because they don't want their hate to die with them. Oh no. And like I said, with this Lego blocks, it is amazing to me when I first saw this, I'm like, this can't be fucking real. This cannot be real. And the reason why I wanted to bring up the website is because I wanted you guys to know the same thing I found out, that it's real. That, I don't even want to go into the simple fact of the matter is I hope to God somebody doesn't really buy this. But here's the shocking thing about this, is what kills me, is where I said this goes back, and I'm just going to go back to it again, where the literal wording is what kills me about this. And I'm going to read this in case you guys can't see it. So it pretty much says a mob of 10,000 Central American migrants is marching through Mexico and heading toward El Paso, Texas. Mexican border agents attempted to stop them at the Mexican border, but to no avail. We understand why they want to flee Honduras and live and work in America. After all, we are the greatest nation on earth. In the interest of national security, however, we cannot allow just anyone and everyone to cross our borders. While there are good people attempting to enter our nation, there are also gangs, criminals, and terrorists. Everyone who wants to enter our country must legally enter for the safety of all. The wall must be built. The wall will keep America safe and strong. Only then will we be able to help those in need. We are pleased to announce the launch of our brand new line of toys, Mega Building Blocks. This toy makes a great Christmas gift. This toy makes a great Christmas gift for you and your kids. 101 pieces includes President Trump figurine with a MAGA hard hat. And here's the fucked up part. Right down here. Note, due to the overwhelming response for our one-of-a-kind MAGA Build-A-Wall construction set, we have temporarily sold out of our entire inventory. But don't despair. Please place your pre-order now because we have a massive shipment coming to us from the manufacturer who will arrive in our warehouse on December 9th. And we are increasing our staff to ensure that your order ships immediately. Thank you for your support of our conservative company and the American economy. So you know what? I stand fucking corrected. The shit is sold out. Oh. Well, I did say whoever buys this is pretty much a bigoted and they want to show their kid something. And wow. And what do you say, Avon? Well, you know good, hell, and well. I know. And of course, wow, BJ. Fuck Baby Huey. Fuck the wall. Fuck his Muppet wife. Fuck them ass clown kids. Except the one that really don't fuck with. Fuck Mitch McConnell. Fuck Agent Orange and the host he rode in on. Well, you summed it up. I'll give you that much. But when I saw this, and I apologize. I probably should have checked at the bottom. I didn't see that part, that this is pre-ordered now because it's sold out. It amazed me so. I said, this is the reason why so many things happen because of Trump. And to get to the end of it all would be nuts, because you wonder how a toy set like this that has so many inconsistencies in the explanation of of what the toy is about. Why can't it just be a toy? It can't be a toy. It's a learning tool. It's funny where Trump follows the Hitler playbook so well, but when your great granddad used to work with him, I mean, I guess job skills learned from the Fuhrer really don't fall that far from the tree. But and you're right, Bon. Trump is president. All rules are out the window. I mean, I used to sit there and joke that if Trump is president with zero experience, I should be able to walk into any job that's hiring and say, look, Trump is president. He doesn't do shit. That's at least the bottom line. I could at least hit that mark. But it gets to the point to where sometimes it's just no longer a joke anymore. It's not. Now, I do hope that with these midterms and that the new Congress being sworn in the next month or so, I do hope things do change. I still do have hope. I hate to sound like a Barack Obama fan, which I am, but I still have hope. I still say that, as much as we're dealing with an American president, an idiot president who is literally running this swamp into the ground, turning our country into a swamp right into the ground, I still have hope that it can get better. Now, will it get better with fresh faces in the Congress and Robert Mueller wrapping up his investigation to hopefully get that entire goddamn family? I hope. I do hope. But I do also know there's going to be change in the air. But at the same time, how the frack we got here is always centered around this one man. And the simple fact of the matter is, this one man kicked open the door to bigotry and hate. And all we're seeing right now is everybody that was behind that door is now getting a free pass into society. And until we slam that sumbitch shut, nail it, and then burn it to the fucking ground, we're steady more going to be in the fight of it. We got to be the fight for our lives on this. Whether it's a woman that's going to sit there and say that she has no problem with public lynchings, whether it's cops using black men as deer hunting trophies, whether it's the freedom of the press being taken away from the simple fact of the matter is just that a president doesn't like what he hears. The only way to combat any of this is to always stay informed. So, with that being said, of how the frack we got here is because we stopped being informed. Because, the reason that we got here is not for the lack of not staying informed. It's the lack that so many of us got so complacent, and the fact that so many of those who harbored hate just got a green light 2 years ago, and they're just enjoying life. And that's fucked up. But we're going to go ahead and call it here on that one, guys. Thank you all for watching. For everybody who's watching, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, BJ. Thank you, Vaughn. I saw some other people. I was like, wow, I got some almost, I want to say almost 6-7 viewers at one time. Kind of important. But I know. Thank you guys for all watching live and on the playback. And for those Trump supporters, I'm pretty sure I'm going to hear from you guys later. So a little shameless plugging before I do go. I'm not the only guy here that always has podcasts. As you see, my buddy Vaughn that was on here, he also has several podcasts of his own. He actually has the guy's a busy guy, but he always seems to make room for these other 3 podcasts that he has. His first one, I get that reference BST. If you know what a BST is, a BST is a 30-minute podcast where he goes over various news groups, things of that nature. He actually just did a BST about 2 days ago, which is actually pretty good, which he goes over trailers that he finds, things of that nature he finds interesting. He also has Rhythmness, where you can reminisce over the rhythm. Reminisce, where you can reminisce over the rhythm. Thank you for watching me this far. I really, really appreciate it. But Rhythmness is where Vaughn actually takes some albums, fairly new ones, and goes and races to a 4-tier system. What are those 4 tiers that he talks about? Basically, that's something you need to watch on Rhythmness, which will actually be, I believe, this weekend, as the entire IGR crew will be together on Saturday. So we'll probably be doing a Rhythmness and possibly a Bump Down, which I will explain later about what that is. But aside from Rhythmness, and Vaughn, I hope you have your soundbite up because this is the last time I'm doing this. Well, I take that back. I'll probably do it again. But he also has another show where it literally is random as Random as Fuck with Uncle VZ, in which he actually has early morning early morning show, where he usually either finds videos or he finds questions and things of that nature. Just an interactive show, just like mine, where he just brings out the interesting things, like an old man who ain't never left the crap game and was trying to rhyme like a outdated Hustle and Flow. You can play that video now, Bon. I've got that on my head now. I'm sorry, Bon actually posted that. So the rhythm mix we're doing is Too Short, Anderson .Paak, and more. And you're going to be doing on Hub City. Okay, thank you for putting that link out, because there's a link that Bon will be doing now just from there. And also, like I said, the other show, The Bump Down, that's actually my buddy Trace, who actually does The Bump Down. Also a musical podcast show where he goes over what's Holland Shots, what's not, what's happened on the mainstream, on the underground, and basically gives you some insight into the music and recording industry. I do love that because I have learned more about the music and recording industry through him than I would do off my own research. And I always say it's a very intelligent brother Trace is, actually to provide that knowledge and show you how, if you ever want to get into the recording industry and things of that nature, I always follow him. Like I said, the conversation between him and Bon on that show, very interesting as far as the route he goes. But like I said, very interested, very intelligent brother. Would definitely recommend watching his show as well. Now, of course, with my How the Frack I Got Here, of course, it's every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. I do have my other show, Off Limits Podcast, which is every Saturday from 3 to 5. Which will be another interesting one this Saturday, since all these fools will be here, hopefully, which we will go over. Like I said, on Off Limits, there is no subject off limits. There is no subject that's too far, too extreme. I mean, we were just talking about marijuana and prostitution becoming legal, and that's how you win a legal war just last week. So that gives you an idea of where the level I take it there. Then at this point, you already should know. But then again, if you're watching this, then you already know I go that level as well. But again, with How the Frack We Got Here and Off Limits Podcast, definitely watch this. And all of our podcasts are available on the I Get That Reference Facebook group. If you don't know what I Get That Reference is, I Get That Reference is where a group we created to where we want to basically build our own Wakanda. You know what? Actually, at this point, Bon, you're the only one I can do that, because every time I try to speak that way, it comes out as a very British accent, and I cannot say for certain that with I Get That Reference, it is your own personal Wakanda. You can come here and be fine. In the words of Godfrey, boy, come here. And, that's different. But anyway, I Get That Reference is where you can actually come here and, like I said, be yourself, because it doesn't matter if you're white, black, polka dot, we don't care. The only thing that we do ask that you're active, and by active, that means that you're just posting, you're asking questions, basically interacting, using the social skills that we ask for. How's the weather? Right now, Bon, the weather in Tennessee is kind of like, how can I put this? It's rain and threatening freezing, and the news stations mentioned snow. And the food stores got pretty much rattled. So, if anything, that should tell you that unless you're going to be grocery shopping in Nashville, you're good. But no, we should be fine. They've been talking about snow for days, and of course, in Middle Tennessee, good luck with that. But anyway, aside from that, like I said, if I Get That Reference, definitely can sign up onto it, add yourself, and go from there. And also the YouTube pages that we have. If you look up I Get That Reference, if you look up Off Limits Podcast, you look up How the Frack We Got Here, if you look up The Bump Down on YouTube, all of those have pages to where we post all of our video podcasts to, and you can like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, try to keep it up to date with every podcast that we've done. So in case that you can't see here on Facebook, you can always go to YouTube and watch it there in its entirety. And Vaughn, I know you're still watching. I don't know if you're still doing the audio podcast. If you are, please post a link for your audio podcast, because Vaughn actually does have audio clips of his podcast to where if you can't watch it, you can listen to it, which is also on iTunes, Google Play, and all other areas where podcasts can be heard. Beyond that, that's really all I got here. Like I said, when it really comes down to what we do on How the Frack We Got Here, the whole thing about it is staying informed. Because an informed society can make a hell of a lot better decisions than an uninformed one, because an uninformed one and a lack of action gets you Trump. So the way to actually change our culture, to change the way we are, we must become informed, and we must stay informed. So again, guys, thank you all guys for watching this. And if you're watching this on the playback, go ahead and respond to it normally. I will still be able to see it because, we don't sleep. You can't sleep. You got to stay woke. They be watching. But aside from that, guys, this has been, like I said, I'm Will Buchanan. This has been How the Frack We Got Here. Thank you so much for actually taking the time to, look at my little corner of the world and hear me talk for about, I don't know, it's been an hour and 30. I kind of lost track of time. Again, I apologize. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hope you have a good night. Peace.